When you hit 65, something shifts in your brain. Not gradually, not quietly. A specific set of changes accelerates, and the medical establishment has known about them for decades. They are not secrets. They are in the journals. They are in the research papers. They are in the data that neurologists review every year. But almost none of it makes it into the 15-minute appointment. Almost none of it ends up in the conversation with your doctor. And so, millions of women over 65 are living with changes happening inside their own minds that they have no name for, no framework for, and no tools to address. Today, that changes. 5 brain changes that strike after 65. What they are, what they actually mean, and what the research says you can do about each one. Stay until the end, because change number 4 is not a warning. It is the most powerful cognitive advantage you have ever had, and nobody is talking about it. If you are serious about protecting your memory, subscribe for more tips. Let us get into it. 1. Your brain's wiring is developing cracks. Inside your brain, there are 2 types of tissue. Gray matter, the neurons themselves, the brain cells that do the thinking. And white matter, the vast network of insulated pathways that connect those neurons to each other, carrying signals between different regions of the brain the way electrical cables carry current between rooms in a house. After 65, white matter begins developing what neurologists call white matter hyperintensities, tiny lesions, microscopic damage points along the neural pathways. On a brain MRI, they show up as small bright spots, which is where the name comes from. And here is what they do. They slow everything down. When the wiring is damaged, signals between brain regions travel less efficiently. Processing speed drops. The time it takes to retrieve a memory, to complete a thought, to move from one mental task to another, all of it increases. Not because the brain cells are dying, but because the connections between them are fraying. By age 65, white matter hyperintensities are present in roughly 50% of adults. By age 80, that figure rises to 95%. They are almost universal, and almost universally unmentioned in routine medical care. The primary driver of white matter damage is vascular, blood vessel health. The white matter is entirely dependent on a steady, clean blood supply. High blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, smoking, and chronic inflammation all damage the tiny blood vessels that feed the white matter, creating the conditions for hyperintensities to form and spread. A 2022 study from the Rotterdam study, one of the longest-running brain aging studies in the world, found that adults who maintained healthy blood pressure and blood sugar levels throughout their 60s showed significantly fewer white matter lesions and measurably faster processing speed at 70 compared to age-matched peers with uncontrolled vascular risk factors. What you can do. White matter health is cardiovascular health. Manage your blood pressure. Know your numbers, not approximately, but precisely. Reduce dietary sugar and refined carbohydrates. Stay physically active. Do not smoke. And if inflammation is a concern, incorporate anti-inflammatory foods. Omega-3 rich fish, olive oil, berries, leafy greens, consistently and daily. Every one of these protects the brain's wiring system. 2. Your brain has lost its ability to feel full. This is not about appetite. This is not about eating disorders. This is about a specific and well-documented change in the hypothalamus, the region of the brain that regulates hunger, satiety, and the body's nutritional signaling system. After 65, the hypothalamus becomes significantly less sensitive to the hormonal signals that tell the body it has received adequate nutrition. Ghrelin, leptin, and cholecystokinin, the hormones that regulate appetite and fullness, all become less effective communicators with the aging hypothalamic tissue. The result is that many seniors eat what appears to be a normal diet and still become gradually, invisibly malnourished. Not from eating too little, from the brain failing to register and absorb what is being eaten. This matters enormously for brain health because the nutrients most critical to cognitive function, B12, folate, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, magnesium, and zinc, are precisely the ones that become depleted first when hypothalamic signaling weakens. And their depletion has direct, measurable consequences. B12 deficiency alone can cause memory loss, cognitive fog, and mood disruption, severe enough to be mistaken for early dementia. A 2021 report from the British Journal of Nutrition found that subclinical malnutrition, malnutrition that does not show up on standard blood panels but is detectable with more specific testing, was present in over 30% of community-dwelling adults over 65 who considered themselves well-nourished. 30%. Eating normally, malnourished. What you can do. Do not rely on appetite as your nutritional guide after 65. Your brain's hunger signaling is no longer fully reliable. Eat intentionally and consistently for brain nutrients rather than hunger. Request a full micronutrient panel from your doctor, not just standard bloods, but specifically B12, folate, vitamin D, magnesium, and omega-3 index. If supplementation is recommended, take it seriously and focus every meal on nutrient density rather than volume. Eggs, oily fish, leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and berries are doing more for your brain than almost anything else you could eat. 3. Your brain's internal clock is breaking down. Deep inside the hypothalamus sits a tiny cluster of roughly 20,000 neurons called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It is your brain's master circadian clock. It governs the timing of almost every biological process in your body. When you feel alert, when you feel sleepy, when hormones release, when cellular repair begins, when the immune system activates. After 65, the suprachiasmatic nucleus loses neurons. The clock weakens. Its signals become less precise. This is why many adults over 65 find themselves tired earlier in the evening, awake earlier in the morning, and struggling to maintain consistent energy levels throughout the day. The clock is running, but it is losing accuracy, and the consequences extend far beyond inconvenient sleep timing. Your brain's most critical repair and cleanup processes, glymphatic cleaning, memory consolidation, synaptic pruning, cellular regeneration, are all timed and triggered by the circadian clock. When the clock weakens, these processes become disorganized. They run less efficiently, at the wrong times, or incompletely. A 2020 study from the Salk Institute found that disrupted circadian rhythms in adults over 65 were directly associated with accelerated accumulation of tau protein, one of the two toxic proteins that define Alzheimer's disease, in the entorhinal cortex, the brain's first region to show Alzheimer's damage. The circadian clock is not just about sleep. It is the scheduling system for everything your brain does to protect and repair itself. When the schedule breaks down, the maintenance breaks down with it. What you can do. The suprachiasmatic nucleus is almost entirely regulated by light. Bright light exposure in the morning, within 30 minutes of waking, ideally outdoors, is the single most powerful signal you can give your circadian clock to stay calibrated. 10 to 20 minutes of morning light resets the clock daily. In the evening, reduce bright and blue light after 8 p.m. Keep your sleep and wake times absolutely consistent, and eat your meals at consistent times. The digestive system sends secondary circadian signals that reinforce the master clock.
4.
Your pattern recognition has never been stronger. Neuroscientists distinguish between two types of intelligence: fluid intelligence, the ability to solve novel problems quickly, to think on your feet, to process new information at speed. This peaks in early adulthood and declines gradually from the 30s onward. And crystallized intelligence, the accumulated wisdom of a lifetime of experience, the ability to recognize patterns across complex situations, to read people accurately, to make sound judgments under uncertainty, to connect what is happening now with what happened decades ago, to understand the shape of things. Crystallized intelligence does not peak in early adulthood. It does not decline in your 30s. According to research from Harvard University and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, crystallized intelligence continues to grow and strengthen well into the late 60s and 70s, and in many individuals shows no significant decline at all. A 2021 study published in the journal Psychological Science found that adults in their late 60s significantly outperformed adults in their 30s on tasks requiring pattern recognition, social judgment, emotional wisdom, and the integration of complex information from multiple sources. The older brain was not slower at these tasks. It was measurably better. This is the cognitive advantage that the narrative of brain aging almost never discusses. The parts of your brain that decline after 65 are real and worth addressing. But the parts that are growing, the deep wisdom networks, the pattern recognition systems, the accumulated experiential architecture, are also real, and they represent a form of intelligence that no younger brain can replicate. What you can do: use it deliberately. Mentor someone. Write down what you know. Journals, letters, guides for the people you love. Engage in complex decisions and conversations rather than deferring to younger voices. Your judgment is not less reliable than it was at 40. In the domains that matter most, it is more reliable. Claim that. 5. Your brain has become less able to forget. One of the hippocampus's less discussed but critically important functions is memory filtering, the active suppression of irrelevant or outdated memories to keep the present moment cognitively clear. In a well-functioning hippocampus, old memories that are no longer relevant are gently suppressed, kept in storage, but not intruding on current awareness. After 65, this filtering function weakens. The suppression mechanism becomes less precise. Old memories, sometimes from decades ago, surface more readily, more vividly, and more unexpectedly. A smell, a piece of music, a particular quality of light triggers a memory with a clarity and emotional intensity that can feel startling. For some people, this is experienced as intrusion, unwanted memories surfacing at unexpected moments, making it harder to stay focused on the present. For others, it is experienced as richness, a life that feels deeper, more layered, more fully present across time. A 2022 study from University College London found that adults over 65 showed significantly more spontaneous memory retrieval than younger adults, and that the emotional intensity attached to those retrieved memories was measurably higher. Past experiences felt more real, more present, and more affecting than they do in younger brains. This is not damage. It is a change in the relationship between past and present. The aging brain carries its history more openly, more accessibly, more feelingly than the younger brain does. The shadow of this change is that difficult memories can also surface more readily. Grief, regret, old losses, these can feel more present after 65, not because something is wrong, but because the brain's suppression filter has softened. What you can do: work with this change rather than against it. When a vivid old memory surfaces, give it 30 seconds of full attention rather than pushing it away. Acknowledge it, Feel it briefly, then return to the present. Journaling old memories deliberately, writing them down, giving them form and place, reduces their intrusive quality significantly. And if difficult memories are surfacing persistently and causing distress, speak to someone. Not because something is broken, because the brain is carrying more than it should carry alone. 5 changes that strike after 65. 5 things your doctor knew and did not fully tell you. None of this is a sentence. All of it is workable. Subscribe. Our videos made specifically for women over 60 who refuse to let their minds slow down. Leave a comment. Which of these 5 surprised you most? I read every single one. I will see you at the next video.